go watercolor painting with Kevin Kuhn. Jamela Anderson explains the importance of making clothes for all body types. And catch a performance from the Heavenly Echoes Gospel Band. It's all ahead on this episode of AHA, A House for Arts.
Funding for AHA has been provided by your contribution and by contributions to the WMHT Venture Fund. Contributors include the Leo Cox Beach Philanthropic Foundation, Chet and Karen Alpelka, Robert and Doris Fisher-Melisardi, and the Robeson Family Foundation.
At M&T Bank, we understand that the vitality of our communities is crucial to our continued success. That's why we take an active role in our community. M&T Bank is pleased to support WMHT programming that highlights the arts, and we invite you to do the same.
Hi, I'm Matt Rogowitz, and this is AHA, A House for Arts, a place for all things creative. Kevin Kuhn is an award-winning watercolorist who loves depicting local urban scenes. Let's head over to Kevin's studio in Albany and see what he's up to today.
I am a local Albany artist who specializes in watercolor, but also does printmaking and three-dimensional constructions. And I think of myself primarily as an art teacher. And that has always been a love of mine, the actual teaching of the subject. But I still do a lot of my own work. I have a degree in art education, and there were really not too many teaching jobs back then at the time, and after a while I found myself cooking in restaurants, and I just kept cooking in restaurants and worked my way up. I was a food service director, I was an executive chef for a while, did all that stuff. It was hard and brutal and tiring, but I never stopped painting. I never stopped drawing and painting. Always did it on my days off. It's kind of like I have to. It's like exercise and nourishment and all that other stuff. A lot of times with cooking, I'm not very big on following recipes. So I'll get the recipe, and the recipe sort of gives you that little road map where you want to go, and then once I get going, different things happen, you know. I throw in different things, or I cook something longer or shorter than I should, and I just play around and combine different ingredients. And a lot of times with watercolor, you know, watercolor kind of tells you where to go. You start the watercolor with this plan, you do all this planning, but the watercolor has a mind of its own. So, and then hopefully it'll come out okay, and hopefully sometimes it doesn't come out okay, and then you just throw it away, or you convince the person that you're serving it to that it's just fine, you know? My watercolor work, I think in terms of subject matter, you're gonna see mainly buildings and structures and parts of buildings. I've always been really attracted to that subject, even as a kid. Like down in the basement, I have the remains of my old model railroad. And when I was a kid, I had a model railroad, but the trains never ran. I could never, you know, the electrical wiring and the tracks wasn't that important to me. I was always building the scenery and the buildings to go with it. So I've always been attracted to buildings. I'll just see some nice colors and shapes in any neighborhood. You know, not so much in the nice suburban neighborhoods. I like the older neighborhoods, and I'll sit in my car or sit on a curb or a rock or any place I can find, and I'll just start sketching away. And I'm quite knowledgeable in perspective, but if you look at my paintings, you'll see that sometimes the buildings seem to be tilted or moving a little, or they're not exactly perfect in their perspective. I'm trying to create like a life in the building, like it's a living, breathing. That's the biggest compliment one of the biggest compliments people have given me is like, oh, your buildings look like they're alive, like they're and that's how I see them as characters, as individual people. I'm not worrying so much about if everything is perfect. I never use a ruler, never. I mean, Matter of fact, when I see someone else drawing with a ruler, I go, ugh, how can you do that? I always love to draw and paint on the spot, and watercolor is very easy. It's easy to transport, it's easy to clean up, it's easy to pull them out real fast and work. A lot of artists are afraid of watercolor, but one of the ways you can control it is by the planning. So the process becomes very important. I will spot something I like, and then I'll pull out a little sketchbook and I'll do a couple of little sketches of it to kind of get my composition and design. Then I might do a sketch in color. I might run out of time and then come back the next day. If you can find 2 days in a row in Albany where the lighting and the weather is the same, come back and do just a small watercolor sketch. So there's a lot of planning involved. And then when I get what I want, if I like it, then I might come home and pull out a big sheet of watercolor and work down in my basement studio. But by then, I kind of know where I'm going. I know where I'm going, so it's not a big surprise anymore. Color is very intuitive. My approach to color is I look at a scene and it depends. Maybe the thing that caught my eye was the fact that it was this brilliant pink building with some greenery right next to it, and I like the way those two colors work together. And I said, I'm gonna do a pink and green painting. Or it might be a nice sunny day and I'm feeling, all these warm colors. So I'll underpaint the whole thing in yellow ochres or raw sienna and new gamboge and just work around that and then build up contrast with a few cool colors. That's kind of how I approach color. I try not to get too hung up on the local color of something. Just because the grass is green, I might think that, this building is red here. The grass might look a little better as an orange color. So I'll change that in an expressive way to achieve what I want. How do I know a watercolor is done? Wow, I always joke about that in my classes. You got this watercolor, it looks pretty good, and then the famous last words, just one more stroke there, and I'm like, oh, what did I do? It's difficult. What I do, and what I've been telling my students to do, is when you reach that point where you're really like, I don't know, am I going to overwork it? Is it not good? Should I do more? That might be the time to stop right there, put it aside, sleep on it for a couple of days, look at it next week, and very often you'll say, oh yeah, maybe I should do a little there, or maybe you got to distance yourself from it a little. Don't make that decision right when you're painting. And don't give up. You're going to have a lot of failures. I would say out of my watercolors, I'm doing really well if maybe 1 out of 4 I keep. I have portfolios that are filled with watercolors that I'll never show. I don't want to throw them away, but I'm not going to show them. Sometimes I might go back and fiddle with them, but not usually. I just kind of look at them and I see, oh, those are the ones that didn't work out. So if you can get 1 out of 4 watercolors, but you should be happy if you can get 1 out of 10. So that's another thing to think about. The big secret to watercolor is you never make a mistake. See, everything that happens on the paper, you tell everybody you did it on purpose. And then, therefore, you haven't made a mistake. And that way, it gives you some confidence.
Jamela Anderson is currently focused on reworking textiles to create clothing for all body types. Jamela was even featured in a Glamour magazine article highlighting creators who are reinventing the art of knitting. Here's Jade Warwick with more.
Welcome, Jamela, to House for Art. So super happy to have you here today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yay. So to begin, I want to let the audience know a little bit about what your creative focus is right now.
Oh, gosh. I feel like my creative focus is like
10 different things, but I would say that number one is like making clothes for people with all different types of bodies, and trying to like not be like sort of fit into what the norm is, and to be like exploratory and to be creative with like the colors and the patterns and the shapes of things, and really like try and inhabit what art means, but in clothing form.
Okay, so you focus more on like garments and textiles and fabric.
Yeah, reusing garments, breaking things apart, using old blankets, kind of like what I'm wearing right now, and like reinventing or reimagining what the textiles are, giving them new life again.
Oh, I love that. So with this, why is this type of mending or reworking important within the current fashion industry? Because you're pretty much taking secondhand clothes or materials and reworking it to be something new. And, you know, the fashion culture right now isn't really like that currently. So I want to like get your perspective on why that is important in today's culture.
Yeah, one of the most shocking things that I think I've heard is that the fashion industry is like number 2 in terms of pollution in the world. And the way that we get our clothing and the water usage and the labor and the you know, child labor, all the like really horrible things that you hear about every industry really is so prevalent in the fashion industry. And so with reworking, or some people call upcycling, we're eliminating so much of that. So instead of sending things to the landfill, instead of letting things kind of go to die, we're like giving them new life. You know, that's exactly how we want to put it. And fast fashion, I don't want to knock anybody, because fast fashion does give us the opportunity to feel good in clothing, to stay kind of up on the trends. But when it comes to like not trying to pollute the earth and be more sustainable, it's not the way. But I think that what's super important is to kind of mix the two together. So how can you kind of go in one direction, maybe get something that is a little bit more cheap, but how do you use it more? How do you get more life out of it? And that's where I think mending comes in. It's not just mending vintage clothing. It's not just mending old clothing. It's mending things that you already have. And so, okay, yeah, you got a hole in your sweater. Maybe it's from H&M, but if you can learn how to preserve it, it'll last way longer.
Yeah, and why do you think that's important?
I think it's important because, again, it stops pollution, but also like it allows clothing to be more of an art type. So like mending can be more than just making it look like it once did. It could be adding patches, it could be adding new color, it could be actually making it fit you better, because obviously the fashion industry makes clothing for one type of body. And so if we can mend our clothing or like learn how to like rework it to fit us, then it is specifically for us. And like, how good does it feel to wear something that's just for you?
Exactly. You're literally wearing your own piece of art.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Lil Thrift Ma. So what is Lil Thrift Ma? Give us some background.
Lil Thrift Ma is something that I didn't mean to start. I just really like to shop. I like to shop for other people. I love to give gifts, and it's sort of like, it was like a natural snowball. My partner got me a sewing machine, and so I was like starting to find clothes in the thrift store, and again, mending them, trying to, you know, make this fit my body, my shape, and then I was like, I would love to do this for other people. And it sort of like just really took off from there. So I have a vintage shop. I mostly focus on vintage from the 80s and 90s, a little bit of Y2K. And then of course I'm doing like adjacent to that, all the stuff that I rework. So getting blankets and denim and just secondhand fabrics and bringing both of those worlds together.
Why 70s and 80s?
70s, 80s, 90s, well, I think I'm really inspired by my grandparents and my mom. My grandma had this like, I didn't even think about it, but I'm wearing leopard print today, and my grandma always wore it. So for me, even just seeing that pattern is like really nostalgic, and it brings me so much joy. And like, I think that her style was just so classic, but also like really wild. And so those eras that I focus on are really like, attributing that. She passed away many years ago, so for me it feels like I'm kind of like involving her in the process, even though she's not here.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And those clothes are built to last.
Yes.
As well. You know, I think we all have at least one blanket from our great-grandmother. You know, hopefully we all do in each of our households.
Yeah.
So you were recently featured in Glamour magazine. Congratulations.
Thank you.
About reinventing the art of knitwear and knitting and crocheting. So give us some examples how you've done that within your practice.
Yeah, so I think that because of that, again, that like generational inspiration behind reworking clothes, especially reinventing knitwear, which I was actually approached for the article because they thought that I was the one crocheting everything, and I don't take credit for that. But I do like to say that the clothing was handmade twice. And so I think that quote was actually in the magazine. So I'm taking blankets that are often like disregarded, and a lot of times I'll find like grandma's name stitched into the blankets and things. And so taking the blankets, kind of chopping them up, making pants, shirts, hats, stockings, whatever, that's really what that article kind of focused on. Like, how are we taking this sort of thing that we see as for older people and reinventing it for young people, making it a part of our wardrobe, and like really passing down the art of crochet, the art of reworking, sewing, all of those things, mending, and how it doesn't have to be just for older generations, that we should keep it going through our lineage, and how important it is, because it is another way to preserve.
It really is. It truly is another way to preserve, again, beautiful articles of clothing, which can truly be pieces of art. So I know you were also featured in Shopberries, or was it modeling? What was it with Shopberries exactly?
It was a collaboration, and Emma Zacks that runs Shopberries asked me to bring some of my items. She like handpicked from the stuff I had made to be a part of this photo shoot.
And I know Shopberries really focuses on bodies with curves and different body types. And I know you briefly discussed that at the beginning of the interview, but I want to know a little bit more about that mission and truly why this intimate connection with that goal.
Yeah, thank you. I think like that's really the main point of what I want to do and what I want people to see, is that I make clothing for all bodies. And that means, you know, a lot of times when you walk into the store, you know, we've all worked a mall job, and I remember just like not having a size for people that walked into the store, and how isolating and how harmful can that be to someone where like the average size in America is a size 16, 18. That is definitely not ever reflected in media. It's never reflected on TV. And it's like this taboo thing that we have bodies and that we have shapes. And so what I really seek to do with my clothing is to make it for all bodies, body shapes, and Shopberries is like a big inspiration to me, because they really have figured out how to curate that. And so it's something that I really hold true, and I don't carry under a certain size. And I just want people to come into my shop, my little pop-ups, and to like really feel seen. It's like so life-changing for people when they walk up to my booth and they say, wow, like, this is for me. I never go to vintage markets or thrift stores. I never find stuff for me. And they're always told that, well, people weren't that size back then. And that's not true. It's really not. People are all sizes at all times. And so to hear that is like really just like solidifying what I do. And then again, calling back to my grandma, she was a plus size woman, and like, she's so beautiful, as all people are. And so just really, again, attributing it back to her, and to like make sure that people feel as good as she looked and as good as she felt when she was younger.
That's true, and that's what clothes should do, you know? We put on clothes to flex, to peacock, to look good, to feel good in our own skin.
Why like take part of why dampen your personality, why dampen yourself and make yourself quiet? Like, your clothes should be an expression of you, who you are. And it's like, it's so important. It's like a huge part of who we are.
It really is, and thank you for like providing that space and opportunity for folks out there. I know it's definitely appreciated. So, any future artistic endeavors that involve mending or reworking that you see in your future, or any collaborations you want to just like dive into?
Yeah, I really want to start figuring out a way to create art pieces with my work. So like beyond the art pieces of clothing, but finding out ways, making statements with art. And there's so much waste, even after we've like used all of the fabric we can from the blankets or the secondhand materials, there's still this like waste aspect. And a lot of people do like pillows and things, and they'll stuff it with like the bits of the blankets that they cut off. So I want to find a way to like really start to use like every single piece of the fabric. And then I'd love to collab with other people. I want to collab with artists that paint, do screen printing. I want to bring like mixed media to the art and wear it. So figuring out how to do that and how to make it for everyone.
Yeah, it's amazing. You heard it, guys. Like, hit Jamela up if you want to collab. Well, thank you, Jamela, for stopping by today and talking with us. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Cool.
Please welcome the Heavenly Echoes Gospel Band.
I believe I'll testify for Jesus. Wow. I believe I'll testify for Jesus. I believe I'll testify for Jesus. You know I may not. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. Oh, I believe I'll testify for Jesus. I believe I'll testify for Jesus.
Thanks for joining us. For more arts, visit wmht.org/aha and be sure to connect with us on social. I'm Matt Rogowitz. Thanks for watching.
Funding for AHA has been provided by your contribution and by contributions to the WMHT Venture Fund. Contributors include the Leo Cox Beach Philanthropic Foundation, Chet and Karen Alpelka, Robert and Doris Fisher-Melisardi, and the Robeson Family Foundation.
At M&T Bank, we understand that the vitality of our communities is crucial to our continued success. That's why we take an active role in our community. M&T Bank is pleased to support WMHT programming that highlights the arts, and we invite you to do the same.